Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed and the rest of the team. And it's truly my honor to be here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Firstly, I need to thank Ganga for giving me this opportunity and inviting me to this session. And it's great to see such a vibrant audience and a kind of lot of action packed, or probably an area of activity that you really see out of Toastmasters. And once again, I really want to thank you and quite grateful for inviting me into this session. A bit about me before I get started with a small tech information, probably, which I just wanted to share with all of you, which has been the result of the fact that I would presume that most of you, or probably all of us, come from the same industry, which is the information technology. And I've had the opportunity to connect with some of the finest CIOs of late. And I have a scoop of information which I just wanted to share with you. A bit about me. I started my career with PricewaterhouseCoopers in US, moved back to the UK with Siemens, and I'm almost touching 2 decades in Bahrain, this lovely, gorgeous island. So that's a good part of it. And I used to be heading the operations for Hewlett Packard before, and now more of a venture capital business, looking into the bootstrapping, worked very closely with the UAE, Bahrain, and the Saudi Arabian government. So typically, I'm off my own, I run my own little shop, but at the same time, I'm well immersed within the information technology space, both in terms of consulting, implementation technology. My last role being that I've been handling a digital portfolio, and that's precisely the reason I picked up an area called the digital immunity, which could, just to provide you a quick insight with regard to some of the outcomes and results, what has been the kind of trend, what is picking up, and what is going to be the next level of activity, which could be of quite an interesting fact for each one of you who's convened right here as a part of the Toastmaster. Thank you once again, everyone. And I just get started with a quick overview with regard to what this is all about. So the word digital immunity is quite a kind of an emerging trend which is coming up. Most of the people confine the digital immunity topic into the fact that it is more focused towards the cybersecurity or the risk management side of it. But as we break up the digital immunity to part of it, one thing which we realize, one thing which I would like to bring on the table is it's more relating to your holistic living. It's really going to tell you a kind of a standard operating procedure, how you need to treat your customers, your employees, your clients, your assets, your digital base, and also your intellectual property. Simple as that. So we had a very, very imbibed session with some of the top CIOs across the GCC countries. This happened the last 3 months. And the kind of findings has been quite overwhelming. And one of that has been the fact that the COVID has been the largest accelerator for embracing or embarking into a digital learning. It is quite alarming that some of the finest organizations has not even thought about the fact that there has to be an integrated digital strategy attached to how they want to operate the company in the future. So a people, process, and a technology perspective, which combinedly providing a kind of a wellness and the mindfulness program for an organization to run by itself can be termed as a digital immunity factor. So how do we get immune ourselves? It's basically, we got to look after our health, but at the same time, the organization perspective is going to change, the priorities are going to change, and the days ahead, you're going to see a much more dependency towards the digital track. And this elevator pitch that I'm going to provide you is going to give you a scoop of all of this. I know for a fact that I do have the paucity of time to come across and describe each of these areas. But at the same time, I'm more than willing to go in for a much larger session. But the reality is that I'll take you some of those, the flash points, which probably is going to give you an insight what really takes you and what we're going to see ahead of this time. Let's get started quickly with, I wouldn't get into the transformative element of digital side, which all of us knows. As ICT professionals, you all know that what we're going through. A complete paradigm shift in terms of our thought process. We're unwiring ourselves, our mindsets changing up, looking at how the ICT domain, the business domain is getting integrated, and how the CXOs of the entire companies are looking at new methods, focuses, and values. In short, those companies which do not innovate, it's like you're not actually losing your skin. Literally, those companies who are more healthy needs to shed its skin, and the organizations are treated like organisms, which needs to have its methods, new focus, values, and embracing the change. So the question here is, do we have the necessary immunity to face the digital change? That is a question which every company, every CIO is coming in. Coming back, how do we get into the convergence of the digital transformation? Where is the transformative element coming from? Typically, the cloud, the IoTs, the AI. We heard from Mr. Ahmed when he mentioned about the artificial intelligence, the NLP factors. These are trends which is setting in, right? So typically looking about the integration of digital technology is happening, and it's going to be the high-end dependency for the business. Having said that, we are at an inflection point. Each one of us know for a fact that working in the industry today, we are at the brink of most of us redefining or rebooting our entire job structure. And I was reading a brilliant article which said that another 5 years down the line, most of the jobs what you see today is going to get redundant. And if they continue to wait, or probably if they continue to peg their current role structure in its current form. So the permanent factor, what is going to come in is a change by itself. Let's prepare for it. The next vital point is your customer experience. Till the pandemic struck, we were looking at even the greatest countries that today defined it as a kind of a simple flu. We never know the repercussions, how it's going to be broken up. But one thing which we cannot compromise is customer experience. An experience that you are given to the customer pre-COVID is going to be completely changed, and a personal digital experience is going to be superseded, predominantly looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning. The COVID disruption has brought in those change into the new normal. So that's something which you and I are going to experience in the days ahead. So the new world demands what? A new portfolio, an entire set of new capabilities for your organization, and a systematically built and scaled over time. That means you identify your skills and skill sets today, which is going to be held on to a change mandate. It is driven by technology. It is going to be disruptive. This digital journey is going to have ripples down the years, which is going to trigger a much bigger wave, a much bigger tsunami into your workplace, your mental discipline, into your health, and in the way you think, imbibe, and perform. Coming back, a quick one. What are the key drivers for a digital immunity? How do you think that on digital immunity? You're working with your remote workforce. You need to trust them. You call it as an extended workbench. Your hiring norms are different. Your productivity norms are different. You need to look at models, how you want to work with your remote team members. There has to be a very strong immunity factor working around and having a strong trust factor with your team members. Customer behavior with your online success. You need to understand your experiences with your customers. Post-COVID, what are your bold digital actions and how are you going to take your customers forward? The most important thing, I reiterate, and I was just running a couple of sessions as a Wing Strategy Lab last week. The most beautiful thing which came up specifically in a customer, in a large oil and gas customer next door, which was Saudi Aramco, was an adoption of a mental change or a mental wellness program for the employees. So it's not a combination of a kind of a biological immunity. It's not a kind of getting more mental framework. It's about, without compromising the human values, you're trying to be more stronger, digitally more resilient, and you're trying to be more active towards adopting the digital change. So please let's not forget that we are human beings, and we want to make sure that we live up to the expectations and we adapt to the new world as we go ahead. Variable cost models. Most companies are looking into retrenching employees. stages. You're looking at leverage models. The immunity factor need to come in. How do I bring in the human element into it? Infrastructure side, data and cybersecurity, I don't need to talk about it. The medium that we are talking about, the Zoom itself, went into a security gap. They had serious compromises, which happened just before they stabilized the current system. So you really know the importance of having a strong cyber hygiene, which is the most important factor today. Upskilling and talent management. The reason I'm calling out each of these is to make sure that these are some of your golden nuggets that you need to preserve as you just build up. Talent management and upskilling. We feel that we are great for a job. We have skilled enough to do the job today. But trust me, constant ongoing learning, updation is critical for us to make sure that we have the power and we also have the drive to build this forward. Organization culture, whatever industry that you come from, irrespective of where you come from, you have your digital, you're a tech-driven organization, your leadership has got a fantastic vision attached to it. Bring and understand that inclusiveness, a strong organizational culture, which to secure the immunity of the workplace. Last not the least, social integration. What we're doing today, I was delighted to see a very vibrant community of Toastmasters today. A team who's actually coming and talking about different levels, different structures, which is fantastic. And any IT professional or any professional would like to have this cluster talking and discussing about technology and bringing this forward. Developing a self-paced knowledge, irrespective of what industry and domain you come from, which is the key. These are the key 10 factors I would like to play and tell you about it. Future model, prepare for the change. It's going to be highly data-centric, tech-driven. So what? It doesn't make any difference. It makes a difference in how you adapt into the situation. Keep learning. Expect that crisis can bring people together. The greatest lessons emerge from the most devastating times of the crisis in life. This is something which is significant. And that's something we all need to live on, prepare for a brilliant days ahead. I wish you all a very safe stay and a good health. And I'm sure we will survive these days of pandemic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raj Anand. Actually, lovely presentation. And you hit my target, actually.
Thank you very much, sir.